Welcome to SwarmCast, the marketing hive for pest control pros from coast to coast. If you're tired of your competition bugging you and want to grow your business like a well-built colony, you're in the right place. Each episode, we'll break down the latest marketing trends, expert insights, and proven strategies to help you exterminate the competition and keep your phones buzzing. So strap in, pest bosses. It's time to swarm the market and take your business to the next level. This is SwarmCast.
Welcome to the SwarmCast. We have a guest here, Steve Heroux. Met him a while ago in the Vistage crew, and why this is so special is I've just been watching him from afar on the LinkedIn, and what he's doing. He just continues to just go forward with what he does. Welcome to the show. Can't wait to talk about what you're doing.
Thanks, man. It's been a long time. I think maybe 4 years, probably 3 or 4 years.
Has it been that long already?
Yeah.
Well, I'll just tell you what I remember. Okay, I go always to the Cutco thing because when you're giving your spiel and you're training a bunch of these CEOs in the room, and you're saying everything that was against what I had been taught in corporate America. And I've talked about getting trained at UPS on sales strategy, how to sell, and all that stuff. And you're pulling out this, hey, this is how not to treat your salespeople.
Yeah.
This is garbage. And I was just like going, wow, Steve, this is great. And that just forever stuck in my brain. And it's like, man, I'm so glad you're doing this. And so, but today's special. Tell us what's going on today.
But today, we just jumped on, and it was a little bit of a crazy morning since it's launch day for two things. One is my Contrarian Selling course that went live, 18 months of work and adjusting and improving and including and excluding and building, again, a training on how to sell now, right? 2025, not 1975, with authenticity and humility and empathy and so on. And it's sort of a flies in the face of, it's almost a spite course. Because I would rather have people not buy my stuff, but just don't buy the stuff from these clowns on social media, these grifters, these felons who have literally multiple times had to abscond from the state they lived in for doing unscrupulous things. I mean, and they're sales trainers. It's insane. It's like, what OJ is going to give parenting classes and marriage advice, or what you're going to have Bernie Madoff, run your finances. Like, what is going on in this world? And, it's just a formula to get your money, right? All these con men who are selling their stuff, like they couldn't sell their way out of a paper bag, right? So I just think it's hilarious. You have these idiots on social media who dress in fourth graders' clothing and do steroids and, tell you to stutter when you act confused on the phone. I mean, it's just unbelievable. You think people fall for this? I mean, it's just insane. So I don't care if I make $1, but as long as people stop following these idiots, that's really all I care about.
Yeah, I mean, we live in that age, right? We're in the age of misinformation.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because you do the real deal. You get a lot more of this content than I do.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But it's just serving up the algorithm.
My algorithms. Hey, Zuckerberg, cut the shit. I don't want to see these grifters. Okay, it's enough. But it's probably because I talk about it so much.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I mean, because we see it all, right? I'm in marketing. We do a lot of stuff, and this podcast is for pest control owners, right? There's like 37,000 of them in the United States.
Know it well.
And yeah. There's a lot, right? And they're being taught, hey, this is how you sell.
Yeah.
And I've seen all kinds of bad methods, a lot of bad methods that don't work. Just for some background, I mean, when you were doing the Cutco thing, I mean, you were selling knives. If you can sell knives, you got to be really good.
Yeah.
So tell me, how much stuff, if you put a number on it, how much stuff have you personally sold?
Well, it's funny because I haven't met anybody who's listening or watching this, but the first 17 years of my life, right, I did not say a word, right? I mean, nothing, like deaf mute, no dates, no dances, no prom, nothing, right? Deathly afraid of people. Then I got into a really expensive business school in Boston, and I was going to bankrupt my parents. So I had to get a job, and nobody would hire me except Cutco knives. And that's a very rigorous hiring process, right? They go,
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
yeah, he's alive. So then I went and told my parents, and my parents, if anybody watches Seinfeld, right, or the Costanzas, George's parents. Um, my dad goes, how'd the interview go? I'm like, I went great. I got the job. He's like, awesome. What are you going to be doing? And I go, I think I'm going to sell knives. And my dad goes, and as if you do, as very Frank Costanza, like very uplifting, inspiring, right? Said, are you fucking stupid? I, I'm like, what? He goes, sell knives. You don't even talk. Who are you going to sell knives to? I'm like, I don't know, but they're good. You should see them. They put leather. He goes, don't be an idiot. What's wrong with you? And he just walked out of the room. My mom was there, right? And I'm like, hey, Ma, can I have $150 to do this knife thing? So, because you had to pay, for the sample kit, was how they did it. So that was freshman year of college. And they taught you this blue binder. Some of who are listening to this, you remember the blue book, right? And the script you had to memorize. And so I did this, my first demo with my aunt Denise, and I'm reading this thing, and I'm like, this is awful. I feel awful. I will never say this again to another human. So I just did my own thing. I did the polar opposite. And I would just go to the store. I'd go to Shaw's, which is a grocery store up there, and I would buy carrots, onions, and tomatoes. I had a cooler in my trunk. And so I'd bring food with me right into my demos. And then we would just cut the food up. I'm like, go get some of your knives. Here's some of ours. I didn't do some pitch or anything. And so that was sort of the start. And I ended up, going from a, mime to, I was the number one rep in the country in college my senior year. So that's how it all started. And then, of course, to Aflac, and the rest of that story. And so anyway, that's how I started. So I was kind of always did the opposite. Hence, right, the book, the Sales Contrarian, Contrarian Selling, all the stuff, right? You just always did the opposite, much like George.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, it worked out pretty good for you. I mean, I think it's just being who you are, right? I mean, you did you,
Yeah,
and when you have this authenticity when you're talking to people, it works pretty good.
yeah,
I mean, after all, sales is just building trust, and
yeah.
and you did it pretty well. I know that when I see salespeople trying to not do themselves, that's when they can't sell.
Right. That
Yeah.
that that's the whole thing that I'm trying to prevent, right? Is you have all these people trying to pitch this. Here's the framework, and here's the methodology, and here's what you say here. And if they say this, then you say that. And if they say this, then you say that. And you've heard my Vistage talk, and it's permeated to different ways now, and I've adjusted it. It's now called one size fits none, which is an essence of what we teach leaders of companies all over the world. Is there is no magic way to sell. There's no magic script, right? There's no magic set of golf clubs that you just buy off the rack. There's no magic bike seat for those of you who are cyclists. Everything's customized for a reason. And so people, again, who are pitching this stuff, these acronym based selling systems, right, that they stole from somebody else, by the way, that you see this idiot on social media, like, that's not real. It's not real. None of this stuff works in the real world. And so that's why people have such a negative connotation of salespeople. And you guys and gals know, who are listening to this, salespeople, especially D2D, right, door to door, you're among the least trusted professions on the planet. And we share this esteemed distinction with lawyers and politicians. Okay, the three least trusted professions on the planet are salesperson, lawyer, politician. And when you continue to do this stuff, like there's a trainer in your world, in the door-to-door world, that literally tells people to wear a orange construction jacket to make it look like you're just working around the neighborhood. I mean, and you can't figure out why people hate when door-to-door salesmen come by. Like McFly, anybody home, like what? It's like we're living the bizarro world. I mean, it's insane. Like, just be a human. It's not that hard. It's really not. But this is what we see. I have people come to my door. I was at my buddy's, a pest control guy, ironically came there. And Ricky's like, let's hear him, right, my buddy? And it was terrible. It was terrible. And it's not even his fault because he got taught to do this awful pitch, right? And it was insincere, it was robotic, it was condescending, it was awful. And they're gonna get sales because it's just volume, right? I mean, it's like, I guess I need pest control at some point, but they are never, ever going to get the people who, if a real skilled salesperson actually did a decent value prop, actually followed up, actually walked away when they said no. Like you see on Instagram, you see a lot of these people in pest control filming their pitches as if it's some badge of honor that you didn't leave the property until they pulled the shotgun out. That's not good.
No, nope.
That is not something to be proud of. When someone tells you no 39 times in a row, then threatens to call the cops and then you leave. No, that's not cool. That's not fighting through the no's. That's you being a psychopath. When someone tells you no, you walk away. That's it. But this is what these people are taught, right? And it's just insane. And if they just
I'll tell you,
learn how to do it better, their whole life would change.
yeah, they don't understand if they're hurting the next person that shows up to sell something.
It's amazing.
And you know, you can plant a seed and you just treat people with respect and a no's a no. Say, hey, thanks for your time, whatever. You've planted the seed anyway.
Yep.
You know, you might get an opportunity in the future. Sometimes the mind says, hey, we just don't have that business yet.
Yep.
You know, and it's funny how, like you said, a lot of shenanigans, a lot of people out there that are trying to train. This doesn't work.
No.
This doesn't work. So tell us a little bit of, you know, one of the things that caught my attention, and I remember taking your sales assessment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, and I can't remember if it was you or one of your folks that say, hey, watch out for this guy. He's really good. I was like,
Sales DNA. It's amazing, right? It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And you know, in the assessment world, there's a million of them, right? There are 2,500 different assessments. And there's something in the assessment world called predictive validity. And what that means is, can you trust the data they sold you on? Or do they pull a bait and switch? And about 4% of assessments are predictively valid. 4% can
4%.
can prove, right, the claims that they made. And sales DNA is one of them. And it's the only sales assessment in the world that can actually predict sales success and whether or not a salesperson can execute. This is not some personality test or aptitudinal or anything like that. Can this dude or this gal sell these coffee cups in Phoenix, Arizona? Right? That's what it does. And so it's the MRI, right, for somebody to see their blind spots and see what's wrong inside. But every other sales training in the world is a doctor who just gives every patient 2 aspirin, right? And you see more of these grifting scumbags on social media. We will just call him the creepy uncle. Okay, we'll tell you 10x everything, right? We're now experts in auto detailing. And oh, you know what else we're experts in? Beekeeping. If you want to 10x your plumbing contracting company, we're here, right? Like, no, they're just literally selling snake oil to everyone. Here's your 2 aspirin. They have no clue what's going on in this company, in the environment, in their supply chain, in their geography, in their leadership team, who the salespeople are. They have no concept of why the business is not going well. And generally, the salespeople get blamed, which is sort of how we started this in the beginning, right? It's like they get no training, no support, no guidance, just sell more. That doesn't work. So sales DNA will help reveal why salespeople aren't selling more. Are they uncomfortable discussing money? That's a big one. Do they need to be liked? That's an even bigger one. Do they sell to people the way they buy? That's another mistake. So if they don't know they're doing these things, how would they ever figure out how to fix it? But this is what salespeople have to deal with. And there's a guy in Canada who booked me. He's like, so what's the gist of what you teach? What do you do? And I say, well, I'm trying to end the abuse of salespeople. That's what I'm trying to do. So sales DNA is a big part of that.
That's what I really identified with is when you started talking in that manner. Again, you mentioned, hey, that some of the least trusted people on the planet.
Yeah.
And when you see the owner treating their salesperson with disrespect,
Correct.
They're going to live up to that.
Yes. I
I
don't know how it came up. It came up maybe a week ago on a different podcast. And I said, when you treat salespeople like they're a notch on the belt of EBITDA, like what do you think they're gonna do? Sell more? I mean, like it's so crazy. And I thought of this when I was in Kansas, and I don't know if they have farms out where you are, but I was out in Kansas and farms everywhere. So I was driving by this farm and I looked out there and I didn't see any farmers yelling at their corn. I didn't see it. But this is what salespeople are subjected to. And, there's a reason they're not selling. And most of the time, it's not them.
Yeah, and you see that with poor leadership, right? They're going, hey, the reason why our business isn't successful is we can't sell.
Yeah.
No, that guy can't sell.
Correct.
Because you're not supporting him, right?
Correct.
If you would have had a sales DNA assessment,
yeah,
you would say, okay, he has all the aptitude in the world.
Yep.
Now the onus comes back around. It's like, okay, what am I? Go ahead. I'm sorry, Steve.
I was just going to say, buddy, the EOS world, obviously, right? With Katina. So we work with them a lot now, actually, which is pretty awesome. So
Cool.
EOS, if you don't know and you're listening, is called Entrepreneurial Operating System, right? It's the biggest, business operating system in the world. And they have something called GWC. Do you remember what that is?
Gets it, wants it, has the capability to do it, right?
What do they tell you if a person doesn't GWC the role they're in?
Get off the bus.
We have something called the will to sell. You remember this. It's the same idea of GWC. If a salesperson does not have the will to sell, which is 5 components, if they don't have that, there is statistically, we have 35 years of proof, 0.0, okay, Animal House style, 0.0 chance that they become a top performer. It's 0. So if you're a business owner, leader, when would you want to know if somebody had the will to sell?
Before you hire them.
That's why we use it in hiring. And none of this stuff is in a resume. It's not on an interview. You can't see it. You can't touch it. That's why we use sales DNA in the recruiting process, because you will never hire a salesperson again without the will to sell. And some of you listening to this right now, you have people on your team who don't have the will to sell. Why are they there? So there are parts of sales DNA that are hardwired that you just can't change, right? And you ever try to put desire in someone, that doesn't work. So there are parts of sales DNA that we can help people overcome with training, the tactical skills, right? That kind of thing. But they're hardwired. Like if they're not willing to do the uncomfortable things, it's not going to work, right? If they have the need to be liked, they're not going to knock on 40 doors. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. This brings me back to one of my best favorite Mitch Hedberg jokes, the comedian, when he's like, I used to deliver newspapers and I had to do one of two things, right? Either go to 400 houses or find 2 dumpsters. So
that's good.
That's what happens when you have this need to be liked or you're uncomfortable recovering from rejection. You're not going to be effective even if you sum up the stones to go knock on a door. It won't go well because you're worried about what they think. So imagine having a team of salespeople who don't care what people think, who easily recover from rejection and have a strong will to sell. That's why we use it.
Will to sell. Hey, I won't forget that acronym. That's great.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody wanted to do the sales DNA assessment on somebody, how long does it take them to get through that?
So somebody asked me this like an hour ago, and I'm like, about 6.5 hours. He goes, 6.5 hours? I go, no, I'm just kidding. The average now is 55 minutes. So let me ask you this. You might know this. I had a conversation with an owner Monday, and I said, how much do you think it costs you for every bad salesperson you hire? Do you know what the number is in top line revenue for each bad sales hire?
That's hard. I don't think I could accurately answer that, but I would say it's a 6-figure number.
So in the non door-to-door world, regular salespeople that are 100K, it's 1.2 million.
Wow. Wow.
It's time, it's training, it's deals lost. They forced your best employee to leave, right? A brand issue, like a million things. But even if you take a door-to-door salesperson, maybe they're 50K or maybe they're just commission only or whatever. It's 6 figures, right? Easily. So to help mitigate that, you have someone take a sales DNA test for $600 or whatever the heck we charge now. Like, that's nothing. That's peanuts. But that's what we're trying to do is help companies mitigate the amount of bad hires. And it's very much like in the NFL. By the way, the Patriots beat the Bills, if anybody cares. So there are teams who always draft bad. All Browns, Jets, like the list goes on and on. It's not about drafting good, right? Because you just get lucky sometimes. But why are there teams who always draft well, right? Green Bay, Baltimore, like Denver, like they just always draft well. It's not about who you draft because you just get lucky. You find a Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. So you just get lucky, right? But it's who you don't draft. It's telling people, don't draft Tim Tebow. Don't draft Johnny Manziel. That's hiring everybody. You'll never get it right. You will never be able to pick out the Serena Williams and the Beyonce and the Drakes of the world. You just can't do that. But it's not drafting Corey Feldman. Okay. Some of you follow him on Instagram. You know what I mean. This is why he's not playing halftime show. So that's what DNA helps you do is mitigate, right? Dumpster fire sales hires.
Love it. I mean, every organization, if they don't fix this, the sales walk-ons or your process for finding the for getting the right butt in the seat.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't master that, you're going to waste a lot of money, time, energy, and potentially your company.
Oh, it's millions. Oh yeah,
I've seen companies. Yeah, I've seen companies go up in flames because they haven't got this right. So when we talk about coaching, accountability, sales culture, how does this play into that?
So I'll tell you two things. You ever been to a pitch session, like investors, people asking for money? So my buddy said, "Hey Steve, we got these guys coming in to pitch, investor summit. Can you come and watch them?" Right? I'm like, "Sure." So there were three guys pitching on their AI technology platforms, right? Pretty cool stuff that they built. And they're raising 1 million to like 10 million, right? From the group of people in the room. So they each had 10 minutes. So at the end, my buddy comes up to me and goes, "Hey man, how did they do?" Right? I said, "Well, if I were here on fire, burning to death, and those guys were selling water, I would gladly welcome death." That's how bad they
Bad they were.
and
Wow.
that is sales. The representation of their brand, right, should not be them. Because you know how to write code doesn't mean you know how to sell the code. And that is a huge, huge issue. And why so many companies struggle? Because they hire the wrong person, right? The wrong person is in front of all of your customers, your audience, and so on. And the second thing about accountability, was in upstate New York and saw this horse. It's funny, farms and horses. But anyway, I just stuff I see. So somebody said, "Well, how do you motivate people? How do you hold people accountable?" And I said, "Well, I saw you have horses up here. I know you have horses. I saw one, at least one." I said, I said, "You all know that phrase, you can lead a horse to water, but..."
Can you give it a drink?
So I don't believe in that, unsurprisingly. Have you ever tried to pull a horse that doesn't want to move?
Have I? No.
What do you think happens if you try to pull a horse that
You're not
doesn't?
going to move. You're not going to move it.
Okay, so you should just get behind it and motivate it, correct?
No,
Okay,
no, not like that.
that's what happens when you try to motivate the wrong horse. So, what I look for and what sales DNA reveals are thirsty horses. If you're a coach in the NFL and you have to get guys to show up to practice, you got the wrong guys. It's the same in sales. If you have to constantly beg them to turn in their reports and show up to meetings and do role play, it's the wrong person. Like you think Phil Jackson had to get on Kobe to work hard? What are you kidding? Kobe was in the gym 3 times a day. Michael, right? Name them. Serena Williams. You don't have to hold them accountable, right? It's a myth, right? You got the wrong people.
I heard this, and this was, gosh, a month ago, and they were talking about what kind of people to hire, and A, B, and C players, right? We've heard this before.
Yeah.
And the A player gets hired, but he's really expensive. And this is what they're talking about in the room. It's like, well, wait a minute. Actually, the B and C players, with as much loss as they, like you're talking about, the loss it's causing is
Yeah.
way more than the A player.
Yeah.
So get the A player,
You
use the
get
sales,
A's and you pay them a lot of money.
pay him good,
How,
play him good.
how do you win in any sport? How do you win in the NFL? All pro quarterback. That's it. There's nothing else. You cannot win unless you have an A player quarterback. Period. End of story. In Major League Baseball, you can't win without great pitching. It's not possible. You can't. And how much do these A players make? Otani, 700 million for a reason, right? Josh Allen, 350 million for a reason. Like you can't skimp on talent. And if you think you're going to hire salespeople for $9 an hour or a 20K base, what do you think you're going to get? All pro?
I'm gonna turn this into a reality check for pest control owners
Sure.
that are trying to roll on bringing people in
Yep.
that aren't salespeople.
Yep.
Maybe they're a good tech. They can spray, they can do all the tech work, but
Yep.
you're trying to force the tech to sell. Don't do it.
Won't
Don't do
work.
it.
Yep.
It won't work. Find the A player, the
Yep.
guy that's thirsty, the horse that's thirsty, and get him in there and pay him well.
That's will to sell. And you have to see if the tech has the will to sell. That's why DNA is important for existing salespeople or techs, because a lot of them think they want to sell, or oh, this is easy. You just show up and people buy stuff. But they don't have it inside, but you can see it on sales DNA. Then you can give them a chance. But if you give a tech just because they want to sell a chance and they don't have the will to sell, that's like making somebody the executive chef at your restaurant because they love to cook. Yeah, but your food sucks. You burn water. No, but I love it and I really think I can do it. No, that's not a qualification.
No.
This is what companies do, and they throw stuff against the wall and they, well, hey, Mike wants to give it a shot. Well, I'd like to play in the NBA, but they're not going to give me a roster spot because I think I can do it. That's not a good decision.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, because we did this with one of the other companies. Is we built a DNA assessment for somebody in technology. You remember doing that?
Yes.
Do you build one in pest control?
Yes.
Is that
they're
something
totally separate? Yes.
And have you done that before
Yes.
already?
We have a huge
Okay.
company in Pest.
Okay. So this is great. So you have a big box pest control company that's running the sales.
Multiple hundreds of millions.
Okay. So if I said, hey, Steve, need to get you down to do some speaking.
Yeah.
You'd be interested.
Yeah.
Right. If I said,
I'm doing one for them in March, right? Their old company, right? Hundreds of people.
Awesome. Awesome. So Pest World's coming up this month.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there. We're doing a mastermind in November, but next year I want you to come out, because, I think this is a mistake that I see over and over again. These multi-million-dollar pest control companies stall out because they don't have a good sales team.
Yeah.
And you have the owner that can still sell, maybe because they built the thing, but that's it. They don't have
It's really funny.
Yeah.
It's really funny because this one, we started with them, we're probably 150 million. Now they're 400.
So they're top 10. They're top 10.
Oh yeah.
They're top 10.
And they've been acquiring other ones and putting our stuff into those, and they're killing it. So
Yeah.
These things, again, they're agnostic. So, in our world, right, in Sales Collective world, right, we have MSPs, as you know, right, with our buddy ISPs. We have tech, we have doctor's offices, we have financial advisors, pest control, like you name it, right? This stuff applies because sales is sales. I don't care what you sell. But there are principles that matter, and sales DNA exists in every human. We all have these flaws, but if we don't know what the flaws are, how would we ever fix it? Right? Like I just picked up golf again, and my buddies are so mad at me. So last Friday, I shot my best score in 20 years, right? I shot 75, and it's my fourth time playing in 7 years. So I went 81, 84, 82, 75, right? And they're all pissed. But I'm going to Golf Tech. Like I have a coach, do you know what Golf Tech is? You go and you have a coach, they put your swing on, all this stuff. So I go, I practice.
I get it. Yeah.
Why do you think I'm shooting 75? Because
WTG, the will to golf, will to golf.
But what I don't do is what 99% of golfers do, is go to the range and just pound balls aimlessly. That doesn't do anything. I had to get my golf DNA, right? I had to get assessed by the coach who put me in front of the sim and goes, your hips are at this angle. Your shoulders are tilting forward 8 degrees. They got to be if no one told me what I was doing, how would I ever expect to improve? And if you're a golfer and you just show up and play and expect to shoot 80, that's not going to happen. You have to identify the flaws, then address the flaws and practice and work at it and go and invest in your craft. Golf tech is not cheap, right? It was like $2,000, right, to buy all these lessons and stuff. And they can't figure out why I shot 75. Like, it's crazy. But I'm excited again now because now I know what I'm doing. When I miss, I know what I did, right? Instead of, I'll just hope to hit the fairway, right? That's every weekend golfer and every salesperson. I hope they buy something. That doesn't work, right? World-class salespeople invest in their craft. They role play. They record themselves doing their value prop. They don't just show up and knock on doors. That's not world-class. You can get a robot to do that. So this is funny. Some things outside of the business world that are really easy to explain.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. I mean, it's so true, right? I mean, you have a coach for everything if you want to get good at it. I've got a couple business coaches right now.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I was so inspired by it in the Vistage stuff. I decided to start my own mastermind for pest control owners.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing the SwarmCast thing here, is to bring those pest control owners. They might get stuck. They don't have a peer group. They're not meeting locally, exchanging sales secrets. But here we are doing the podcast from somebody that I've come across. And by the way, Steve, I've listened to a lot of sales trainers, and I get ad nauseum too when I start hearing the 10x speech, right? You start hearing everything's 10x or 100x. I'm like, prove it, pretzel boy. Where's it at? So, there's a lot of that going on, and everybody has the magic dust. But here was the first time I came across something a couple years ago, and it has stuck with me, and I've reached out to you in the past. So this is great. So tell us more about the contrarian thing. Okay. Is that different, or is it now encompass sales DNA to what you're doing now? What is that?
Yes, they work together. The idea, because when I do my talks and keynotes and all this stuff, and generally people are like, that's the polar opposite of everything I've been taught, right? So when I was trying to come up with a name for the book, it just kept coming back to what's the opposite, what's different, what's the myth busting, all of those things. And then one of my friends or someone's like, you're a contrarian. I'm like, that's it, right? And so that's what birthed the book, right? The Sales Contrarian. And thanks for the share and review. And it's funny, when I was, design matters, I get branding, right? It's really important. So the guy that did my book cover is the guy that designed the cover for Mark Manson's book, one of my favorite books, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a You Know What. So it works in the style in which I teach. And then 18 months now to today, right, with Contrarian Selling coming out, it's all of the stuff that I did in my career, how I got to #1 in Cutco, how I got to #1 in Aflac. And it was never doing the stuff that I was trained. It just wasn't. So the idea is there's a different way. I asked this too, and I don't know, I think you're married, right? What's your spouse?
Yep.
Angie. So it's hard to get people to see things differently. So it takes time, right? I'm an acquired many. But if you want to see how hard it is for people to change, go home tonight. Don't say anything to Angie. Don't be weird. Just go to bed like 3 minutes earlier, right, than you normally would. But just lay down on her side of the bed and you tell me what she does.
Okay. Game on. I'm going to do that.
What do you think she's going to do?
What are you doing on my side of the bed?
So this is every owner ever in the history of Earth who can only see their side of the bed. Like, there's another side. It's perfectly fine. And it might even be better than the side you've been sleeping on for 10 years. But they can't even conceptualize that there's another way of doing something, because they are so conditioned that they have done this thing for this many years, right? It's hard for them to see there's another side. So when I teach people certain things, uh, especially things like the ad nauseum stuff, like objections, right? You've seen this a million times, right? And one of the Army Rangers that's in my course, that's my nonprofit, I think I shared, right, is Million Veteran Mission. So I'm going to teach 1 million veterans how to sell, right? It's all free, it's all gifted, it's all donated. They get access to my course for life. And OMG, by the way, the guy that runs Sales DNA testing, who we get them from, his best buddy is a veteran, and he found out what I was doing. And all veterans who go through my stuff get a sales DNA test for free, comped by OMG.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So I met this Army Ranger guy, and he's like, "Hey man, I never heard anything like you." And he's a consultant, right? So he helps veterans with PTSD and ADD and things like that. So he said, "Can you teach me? I have a question." I'm like, "Sure, what's up?" He goes, "If I ask you something, will you tell me how to do it better?" I'm like, "Dude, we're just having a beer." It was after an EOS event, actually, in Dallas. I mean, "You want to do this right now?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "All right, what do you want to ask?" He goes, "Man, I don't really know how to handle objections. I get told you got to do the feel, felt, found, and just dumb stuff, right? That everybody's taught. You got to isolate, whatever." So I said, "Okay, Mike, I'll give you away. Give me, what's your biggest objection?" He says, "It's money." And I said, "Okay, let's role play." So he's role playing with me, and the guy's like, "Hey, Mike, it sounds great, but I can't afford $7,500, right? That's what Mike charges for his service." Because that's a lot of money, man. And I go, "How do you usually handle that?" And then he goes into some endless diatribe of, "Well, let me tell, have you spent $7,500 on that motorcycle? You don't really, just the dumbest stuff." So I go, "I want you to try this. The next time somebody gives you any objection, whatever it is, especially the 'you're too expensive' thing, I just want you to say 2 letters." He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Just say okay." He said, "That's it?" I go, "That's it." He goes, "So I don't understand." I said, "Let's play role play." "Man, Mike, you're too expensive, man. I just can't afford you." "Okay. You know what? Sounds good, but I got to ask my wife." "Okay. I really like what you have, but maybe next year." "Okay." That's it. That's it. So he sends me a LinkedIn message the following week. Big, long message. I still have it. He's like, "Bro, you will not believe what happened." He tells me the whole thing. He does this. The guy says $7,500, man, that is a lot of money. And Mike just said, "Okay." You don't say anything. You just stop, right? "Okay." And about 10 seconds later, the guy goes, "But you're really good, right?" And Mike goes, "The best." He goes, "Let's do it." It's not complicated, right? You don't have to turn into some scripted weirdo, sales robot, wear your sunglasses and, mouth tape and shoot up steroid. Like that's not how to be good in sales. It's not cool. It's dumb. Okay. Being a human being with empathy, that's what works. And when someone tells you no, you don't try to arm wrestle them into a submission until they stop the fight. That's not sales, right? That's why people hate salespeople. So this is the stuff that I want to teach people. So prospects and customers don't feel like they have to go take a shower after they're done talking to you. But that's the simplicity around selling. That's contrarian. Is like, how do you close? There's no closing. Okay, closing, it's also, again, it's just so antiquated and idiotic. There's no closing. Okay, when you do a great job as a salesperson, your prospect will tell you what's next. When are you coming? When do you spray? What do you do? That's when you know you're good. You don't ask them stupid questions like, "Will that be credit card or check? Or should I come by at 3 or 5 when I'm done with Mary?" No. After you do your thing, it's, "Where do we go from here, Wyatt? Where do we go from here, Jen?" There's none of this old school fossilized crap, right, should ever be regurgitated. And this is what salespeople are taught. So they're going to do it, right? It's just crazy. But that's what I'm trying to end.
Like what you said there, I could totally see those things working. Sales is not the art of manipulation.
No,
It's the art of agreement and building trust. And if you believe in what you sell, you can do it. If you don't, you're gonna suck.
right. Yep,
You know, and so I think even when you're prospecting for a sales job, can you get behind what they sell?
right.
If you can't, doesn't matter how much they pay you, don't do it.
And that's
Don't do it.
that's another cool part of sales DNA, called supportive beliefs, and it's akin to, you know, a basketball player on the free throw line. So Steph Curry, probably the best shooter of all time. We know that. When Steph is on the free throw line, what thought goes into his mind? I'm making this. It's not even a question. Shaq, right? Who couldn't throw a beach ball into the Pacific Ocean. What do you think he was thinking when he was on the free throw line? Oh, geez, I hope I don't airball this. Which one do you think is better? Right? So if you don't believe in what you do and your own ability, it's never going to work. If you're just hoping somebody signs up for Mosquito, oh, that's not good, right? But it all lives in people's sales DNA. So you'll be able to help people fix that.
It helping people. You're just helping people,
Yeah.
and you've got a solution that will do that for them. As far as best tips for getting past the gatekeeper, right? We all have a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about a practical tip. I love the okay piece.
Yeah.
What about getting past the gatekeeper, right? A lot of salespeople have to deal with the gatekeeper. You got any good tips for getting past those?
So are you talking about in B2B world or in our?
B2B world, let's just say you're a pest control owner,
Yeah.
you're calling a business.
Yeah.
Let's get how do you get past that gatekeeper? What would be something you train on?
So it's funny you brought this up. One of the lessons I teach is called befriending the gatekeeper. So
How do you do that?
it's already, you've got to change the thought process. There's no getting past. It's befriending. And if they feel like you're trying to get past them, you ain't getting by. So all the language that salespeople do that's condescending to a gatekeeper, you think that works? It's like, this is why so many of them just block you, because you don't even value their position and what they do. You treat them as a minion, because I've got to get to Jenny. Jenny's the really important person. She runs the company. I don't care about Mark at the front. They can feel that. So whatever you do, you have got to befriend them. And I'll give you one example that I used to do, and it's appropriate because it's Halloween. I haven't told this story in years. So in my Aflac days, because we would have to, it's obviously all right, B2B, we go in, walk in, whatever, and the gatekeeper's sitting out front. And sometimes they have their name on the thing, right? Sometimes they don't, but whatever, it's irrelevant. But on the desk or in the waiting room or in the lobby, right, there are bowls of candy generally right around Halloween. So this one, and I would always look for that, right? I would always look for that. And so there'd be a bowl up there. And so pretend I walk in, you're the front desk, right? I'm like, oh, hey, sir, my name's Steve. I'm here to talk to Jeff or whatever, right? Or is Jeff around? Whatever. And you say, no, he's not here. What can I help you with? Or what is this in regards to? Or whatever they say, you know what they say. And I say, by the way, just so I don't take your favorite one out of here, which one should I not take? Like the Three Musketeers, the Skittle, like what? And generally they're like, don't touch the Reese's. I'm just giving an example. And say, okay, cool. Those are my favorite, but I will suffer and I will take Skittles. Fine. So then I would leave, whatever. I wouldn't get to meet Jeff. I just leave. I come back a couple days later. What do you think I have a bag of with me?
Reese's.
Like, that's it. I can't even tell you how many times they would go, yeah, Jeff just walked in. Let me go get him. Like these are the things you do, right? Not trying to get around them or avoid what you're really there for, or like, why should I tell you? But this stuff is not really taught. And there's a million other things too, but that's just one example.
You know what? This is just so much in harmony with being a good person, right? Showing love to people, being genuinely interested in them. I remember training salespeople going back to the UPS days. I'm saying, you know what? You should know the name of the janitor
Yeah.
and treat him like $1 million. The more that you have lined up in that account, the closer you get to potentially getting their business, right? Know everybody. Then they know you, and they're going to give you an opportunity, even if it's just a piece of the business. So this is great, man. Steve, I could sit on this call and just drill you with questions for another 3 hours, but I know you're doing the launch thing today. You took time for the podcast. Man, I really appreciate it. PCOs that are listening to this, we're going to slice and dice this thing up.
Thanks.
We're going to direct them to your new Contrarian line.
That'd be awesome.
And man, I can't wait to see if I could get you in our mastermind and be a speaker. If I can cut through that schedule of yours with the Cutco knife, maybe I'll get you out next year.
Yeah,
But
send me the dates. I'd love to talk more. If you have the dates in advance, please send them to me, because I as I shared with you, I'm lucky and thankful and humbled like that most of the year's already booked, but I want to make sure I can find a time, and maybe if it's on a weekend or Friday or whatever would be even better.
We'll do a Thursday and a Friday, and what I'll do is I'll get you those dates.
Okay.
And we'll see if we can work something out. But I tell you what, we'll have to do another podcast. I can't wait to hear how your new book does, your new program does, how it launches. I love what you're doing with, hey, you're giving back to the community with your nonprofit, helping out these veterans with getting a real skill set so they can get back. Even if something has happened to you, you can still sell. You can still get out there and connect with people. And I think that's a beautiful thing that you're providing that skill set.
Thanks, man. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Hopefully I'll get to meet y'all someday.
All right. Thanks, Steve, for being on our broadcast.
Thanks, man.
Take care.
Catch up soon, brother. See you, man.
That's a wrap on this episode of SwarmCast. Thanks for tuning in and arming yourself with the marketing firepower to keep your pest control business thriving. Before you scurry off, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and leave us a review. It helps us spread like a well-placed bait station. Got a topic you want us to tackle? Drop us a line and let's keep the conversation buzzing. Until next time, stay sharp, stay strategic, and keep swarming the market.